continuing with it's a building continued on at the fairgrounds in 1960 with a new judging and sales area constructed at a cost of $9,195. So what we're sitting in right now is 63 years old. Cost just a pittance of what it would cost now to do this, but it said it rained for 2 days at the fair, making the new building very worthwhile. I think this is my first year in 4-H. I don't remember showing outside like my older brothers did, but some years, it's too hot or rainy and it was miserable. But this, and now, we have side buildings built on all sides, so we can you don't have to get rained on to get between buildings, and we have one of the better fair setups of all the fairs I've seen around the state, and we stop through fairgrounds when we can. But this is well organized. We got the buildings all roofed and steeled, and it looks really nice. So they're walking again to have a little fun. Like I said, there's no judging of the kid or the lamb. It's just the experience of being at the fair. Caledonia Ramblers was organized in 1961 and still has an active membership today. Does this keep it going between shows? Does this keep it going between shows? It's up to you. I don't know what to do. This is what was written 10 years ago, but the purpose of 4-H in the 60s, and still it is too, was the education opportunities that would help boys and girls grow and develop. When I was in 4-H, you gave a presentation or demonstration every year at your local club, and we had a chance to go to the county fair or even the state fair to give one. I don't sense that's as much as emphasis on kids anymore. I think it's one of the things they're missing is the opportunity to do some research on something or something they know about, get up in front of people and talk. And if you go to the state fair, there's still a lot of demonstrations and presentations going on. But locally, it's not quite so much. One of my favorite things when I was in 4-H was livestock judging. We had a leader that was emphasized it. We got to go to the black and white Holstein show at Spencer in the old days. Of course, there's a lot more dairy around than there is now. And we have livestock judging workouts around the county. Of course, biosecurity wasn't a problem in those days. You could have people come on your farm and they get a couple, 3 classes of dairy or hogs or beef or something. Let the kids practice judging them, and somebody would put official placements on them, and then we always had a judging contest at the county fair, as we still do. And sometimes the better judges there got to go to the state fair judging team, which I got to do 3 years. That was a real experience to get down there and have to give oral reasons and place classes with hundreds of kids there. But that was probably the favorite part of my 4-H experience was all the livestock judging I got to do. Because I went to college, I did some livestock judging and meats judging team, and I did okay. I think it all helped because I had this good training when I was a kid. Because livestock judging, I mean, it makes a difference who the official placing course, but it makes you sit down and evaluate things, the pros and the cons, and think about things. And it's a good experience for other things in life, too. We're getting ready to start the goat show very soon. Goats is really growing in our county, and it's growing statewide. They said at the state fair that's the biggest show of anything. It's a goat show. Uh, Like I say, for those of you of the old days, I was a center farmer, and we had a lot of farm families, and some of them had several kids, and of course we spread out sometimes outside of Center Township. But we had two clubs. We had a junior center farmers and a senior center farmers, and they each probably had 20 kids in 15, 20 kids in them. So of course a lot of times the kids were in the same family, were in the two different clubs. We had two different leaders. We met at the old Farm Bureau building the same night, and but anyway, we had a lot of livestock. So our club had enough beef cattle to fill the entire southeast barn of the current fairgrounds. And of course, we had quite a few families had dairy. I mean, those days, what we used for sheep and dairy now was full of dairy entirely, just dairy. And we had hogs. So it looks like the judge is back, and we're ready to start the senior showmanship. This is Bryce Dodge, Courtney Decker, and Damian Dodge. Like I said earlier, we usually had the showmanship last, but the consensus this year is where we wanted the showmanship first while everything was fresh and the judge didn't have any preconceived ideas from showing throughout the show. This is the first time he saw the kids, and the animals were clean and fresh. Of course, you get into showmanship and you get all sorts of different sizes and shapes of the animals because you can show about anything you want that you own and exhibit otherwise. If you watch, most people show goats with a small chain handle under the chin and back of their neck, if you can see close enough. Like we said, these kids are 10th, 11th, or 12th graders. They completed. Bryce and Courtney have just graduated. And Damien is finished his sophomore year. So he's got two more fairs to go. Handing out most of our ribbons and banners this year is Michaela Meyer, last year's fair princess. She graduated a year ago also. And she will be replaced tonight by having the coronation of the king and queen and the princess at 8 o'clock this evening. So each year we ask the queen, the king, and the princess to come back, and it depends what other obligations they are. The poultry show is going on right now too, so sometimes they have to go up and take care of duties up there. The 4-H experience is different. There were more clubs in my day than there are now, and they still had a 4-H county council. They had 8 kids, I think it was, 4 boys, 4 girls, and each year, and so then you have a 2-year rotation. So wow. So they had a big winter event. They gave speeches, elected.
Yeah, ladies having a little trouble with getting that road lead, but I think that's just kind of a goat thing. That's why I chose she. Yeah, lady does a good job of getting that goat set up when she gets where she needs to go. She gets a little brakes on, gets the feet like that, gets the head up like she should. The young man in second. Just does a little bit better job of keeping the head up, keeping the legs set. I did ask a few questions here for these seniors. Asked what the market weight of a goat is. We're looking at probably 60, 70 pounds is ideal. And what country did quarter goats come from originally? Quarter goats originally came from South Africa in approximately the late 90s. A guy from Texas, there's a group of guys from Texas imported quarter goats. They would have found them in South Africa and decided they would cross on their dairy goats to make beef goats to show. So they brought them over in the late 90s from South Africa. Those were the questions I asked. Good group of seniors. Gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. The champion senior showman will support the Denver. Reserve goes to Navy Dodge. Third goes to Bryce Dodge. Now we'll have our intermediate showmanship. This round will have 2 entries. Michaela Meyer, Pearson Sandy. Showmanship banners are from Katie Rader, Farm Bureau Financial Services. We'd like to give her a round of applause for her continued support. It's much appreciated.
Anyway, I got elected. I got elected to the county council, and my future wife got elected the next year. So we met each other through county council. We lived, in the same county, but across one side of the county to the other. And over the years, one thing led to another, and we got along at both going to different colleges, and I had a little Army time. Anyway, we've been married now for 50 years, so it's been a good life. I have 4 kids that have been through the 4-H. I've been a leader. Carol's a leader. She was on the fair board. I've been on the fair board for, I think, 28 years. So 4-H means quite a bit to us. Little side joke here, but we did our headstones in Primgar last year, and of course we got our names, date of birth, all that stuff, names of our children, And of course, you can decorate your headstone. So they had flowers on it, so that's not really us. So anyway, if you go down there, there's about 1,000 different choices for these headstones. So I put a John Deere tractor on the corner of mine, not the new kind, but the kind I've been farming with. And Carol put a different kind of flower up there on her side. And then one morning I woke up and I said, this all started with 4-H. So we called him up and we got a 4-H emblem put in the center of our headstone, moved everything down a little bit, and it looks wonderful. So if you get out in the west side of the Primgar Cemetery, you can look at us up. We aren't there yet, but our headstone is there. Right now in the show ring is Kirsten Sandy and Michaela Meyer. The intermediate show people, these have to be in grades 7, 8, or 9. I think the awards for the banners for the showmanship awards are donated by Danny Rader, the Farm Bureau insurance agent for most of our Central County, O'Brien County. She's a big supporter of the 4-H fair programs. Right now in the ring are the 4. Must be one more that's in the book. Junior show people. These kids would be in 4th, 5th, or 6th grade. If you know anything about goats, which I don't know a lot about them, but you see these 2 of the goats are white with a brown head. That's very common with meat goats. But you see with the other 2, you get all sorts of color patterns available and possible with goats. First exhibitor is Aubrey Dodge. Samantha Vanderbrake, I think. The last exhibitor is Riley Fuller. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other exhibitor then right in front of me is Tyler Stammer. Winner of the junior showmanship was Tyler Stammer. Second place, Aubrey Dodge. Third place, Riley Fuller. No, excuse me, Samantha Vanderbrake, I think. Now we're ready to start. We're going to start the market goat class. This is a lighter weight class. Of course, goats are generally smaller anyway. These lambs weigh from 57 to 69 pounds. I don't remember any goats at the fair when I was a kid. We had a lot of dairy and beef and hogs and some sheep. I guess those are the... I helped my cousins show sheep, but I never had any sheep. And I had beef and hogs. But hogs in those days, were 200 pounds or so. Now, the hogs are 250 to 320 pounds, or they won't send you home this year, but you can't compete for the championship and you can't sell them. So some go home and some stick around just for the experience. But we're, we have a live animal auction and able to get rid of them and get pretty good premiums. And so it pays for most of the kids to sell them if they, unless they plan to go on with them someplace else, to Marcus or the Clay County Fair or the State Fair. That class, Courtney Decker placed first and third, and Michaela Meyer placed second. Now we're moving into Class 2 marker goats. These are 72 to 80 pounds. All the lambs, market lambs, and market goats are weighed at the fairgrounds yesterday afternoon, and then we spend part of the evening getting everything organized into classes, and extension staff prints us out these show catalogs. We started, we designated the goats are in the building right to the east of the show ring. It used to be rabbits earlier days. But we've got some pens made for us, goat-specific pens from H&S Manufacturing, Southjoy, and Hospers. And we really appreciated the help they gave us getting them built and getting them paid for. The lambs, the goats, easy to get in and out of the pens. They don't jump out like we used to have to put panels horizontal on top of the pens to keep the goats in, or for a while they had them in unused horse barn, which they wouldn't jump out of, but you didn't see them very well. So this is really a wonderful addition to our fair. And the building is pretty well filled up now with breeding goats and marker goats and some dairy goats, and we'll get to them in a few minutes. And then we had a few pens left over, so we moved them over to the sheep barn, and they were housing some of those little bottle lambs you saw a few minutes ago. Two of these lambs are owned by Tyler Stammer, and two by Michaela Meyer, all from the same Caledonia Ramblers Club. Caledonia Ramblers has been one of the healthiest, busiest clubs for years, and the last 2 years they haven't had a single individual market lamb at the fair, which is really unusual for them, because as long as I can remember, they had families with market lambs, and now they have some pen lamb projects, but no individual market lambs. So things kind of ebb and flow. I think once you look at this, you can understand why they some have harnesses now. These lambs were so small you couldn't hardly bend over far enough to lead them like you do a lamb.
We got two really good goats to start the class out here. There's a lot of give and take in between the two of them. To me, I'm going to use the longer-sided, freer moving goat with the class. The way they're presented, the goat in second appears to have the biggest top, biggest screw down the top, most muscle mass. But when you really get your hands on them and you analyze them, this goat first has just as much to it as the goat second. And he's just a notch longer. He moves out freer. Really good goat to go ahead and win this class. That goat in second, like I said, I'd like to just link him out just a tick. Maybe make him move just a little bit freer to move him up. We got goats in third, fourth that just need a little bit more overall muscle mass and structural correctness. Class 2 champion world goat goes to Tyler Stanna. Reserve goes to Caleb Meyer. Now we're in class 3 market goats.
That class, market 2, Tyler Stammer had first and third, and Michaela Meyer had second and fourth. Coming up now is market goat class 3, lambs weighing 87, 91, and 104. Exhibiting are Kirsten Sandy, Aubrey Dodge, and Damian Dodge. Now they're moving the lambs in for the Market Goat Championship. Courtney Decker, Tyler Stammer, and Kirsten Sandy. Three respective classes. Whenever you're listening to this, it's about 90 degrees this week during the fair, but inside here with the big new fans blowing, it's really comfortable. And so we hope if the heat's keeping you away, you can watch this show and watch it anytime next year or more maybe.
As a sheep guy out here judging the goats, I always try to remind myself of the trims and sheep and hog business, which I'm more closely associated with than the goats. I try not to pick the coolest one because that's not necessarily always the most functional one. I think we need to think long term when we start analyzing animals. I think any one of these goats out here today are very functional. But we got two individuals out here in my mind that are very competitive and probably wouldn't go either one, but it would be a good representation for Bryan County in the showdown. To me, I just got to analyze as far as structural correctness, overall muscle, functionality, ease of movement. And to me, there's one, I think that we're going to go ahead and find one that fits all that. Probably just a hair more than the one I'm going to use for reserve. With that being said, I guess I'll go ahead and pick our champion. We don't really need to bring that second place out. I know where I want to go. Go here to reserve. I'd just like to straighten him out up over that top, maybe give it just a little bit more natural thickness to move him up. But as a whole, a really competitive goat. I think we can stand a lot of dogs. Indian market goat goes to Kirsten Sandy. Reserve champion market goat goes to Tyler Stammer. Now we'll have the PT2 breeding goats. In this class, we'll have Kirsten Sandy, Riley Fuller, Damian Dodge, Michaela Meyer, and Aubrey Dodge.
Champion of the individual goat was Kirsten Sandy, reserve champion to Tyler Stammer. Now they're bringing in meat goat breeding does. And there's 5 of them entered in the book. Here comes the last slam. These enters are Kirsten Sandy, Riley Fuller, Damian Dodge, Michaela Meyer, and Aubrey Dodge. So one memory I had when I was in 4-H was on Center Farmers. We had a lot of feral families, quite a bit of livestock. Before the fair, we would have a farm tour. So we would all gather at somebody's farm and look at their livestock, and then we'd hop in the vehicles and run to the next farm. I guess he's going to talk now. I'll stop and let him listen to him.
This Brady Bill, I think she sorts herself to the top pretty easily once I really start analyzing her. She's got a big bone underneath her. I really like her front end. She's got a lot of spring rib. Just a real complete kind of goat. Go ahead and start the class with. The goat second. In my opinion, spring ribs where this goat just kind of lacks. I'd like to see her a little bit wider through that midsection. I'd like to see her a little thicker down the top. But a good competitive goat. I think her best days ahead of her. We got a really big, broody kind of goat to stand third. Just not the show ring presence of the top two. And then moving around up the class, we got some structural issues and some size issues. Class champion Nico pretty dumb goes to camp line. Reserve goes to 16. Now we're all down for a yearly Nico breeding dose with 3 entries. One from Aubrey Dodge, one from Houston City, and one from Maurice Down.
Continuing my story, we go meet everybody's yard and look at their livestock, and then we'd hop into vehicles. And I mean, those things wouldn't happen today for biosecurity plus the safety. We'd hop in these vehicles and run to the next farm. By a lot of times the kids would jump back in the back of a pickup. Of course, in those days, these old pickups with the sides, there wasn't like you couldn't jump out real easy, but it wasn't safe at all. But we did it in those days, and we'd end up making the rounds and get to Primgar Shelter House and have a club in those days. A lot of families, a lot of kids. One thing I remember about the sheep show, because we're back to sheep. I was helping a couple of my cousins show sheep. We never had any sheep at our farm, but the old judge said 100 pounds in 100 days. That was what you heard. Well, now lambs are 120 or 130 or 40, and they don't get there in 100 days, but they sure grow faster than they used to. Of course, they used to show wool on now. And then for years we had what they wanted, number 1 fleece, so you'd shear them early June, get some regrowth. But now fleeces aren't worth much, and everybody shows slick shorn at all the shows all summer. So, and you can see a lot of the lambs around here are showed slick shorn too. Goats, you kind of clean them up and trim them up, but they've got a little hair on them. And Next class is mature meat goat breeding does, and these are ewes that are goats, does that are 2 to 3 years old, and you can see by the size of them coming in the ring now that. So these are the 3 Dodge kids. All have one. Okay, the order of that placing was Aubrey, Bryce, and then Damien. Now we're going to have those 3 class champions out for the champion breeding ewe, which should end up our goat show. So we have Michaela Meyer with the young one, Kristen Sandy with the yearling, Aubrey Dodge with the mature one. It's always a challenge for a judge to evaluate different ages and different sizes of animals. It's been a pleasure to talk with you today. This show's winding down. This is brought to you by the Bryan County Farm Bureau. We started 3 years ago doing this when we didn't have an annual meeting because of COVID, and it's been so popular that we continue to do it. And so you can get on any time of the year by checking out the websites and see whatever shows for any activities, the Queen Coronation tonight, and 2 other things. So please join Farm Bureau if you would like. We're always looking for new members, and we have a good, positive program.
She's got a lot of bone. She's put together right. She's got a lot of big foot on her. She's got a big top. She's adequate through front 1/3. Just a good kind of breeding individual. I'm going to go ahead and shake the hand of our champion goat. And we get to reserve. There's a lot of things I like about this goat. I think she can stand a lot of competition. She just got stuck behind a really good yearling goat. And it's pretty hard not to use the yearling when they're that good because you know what you're going to get there. This goat, I think her best days ahead of her. I think come Clay County Fair time, get a little more on her, maybe get a little more mass to her. I think she would be a real competitive goat.
Champion breeding goat was going by Kirsten Sandy, with second place by Michaela Meyer.
Champion breeding goat goes to Kirsten Sandy.
We thank Max and Kim Roars for our contribution of our banners for the goat show.
That concludes our 2023 Bryan County Fair Feed Goat Show. And now we have the Dairy Goat Show.
I guess I'm going to quit talking because I know little or nothing about dairy goats. So, but you can sure continue to watch. And thank you for putting up with me the last couple hours here. I'm off. Thank you.